Welcome back to another Daily Constitution. I am your host, Nikki, and I'm here with my esteemed co host, Warren.
Welcome back. Hey, everybody.
Welcome back. And it is November, and November is a very exciting month. You have Thanksgiving,
Yes.
and it is also Men's Health Month. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, men's health and why men ignore their own health, their wellness, and everything in between. So let's get into it. Warren, this is today it's personal. What happens when your health or your body stops cooperating with you, and you start to feel that brain fog, you start to feel that oxidative stress. What happens in those moments? How do men respond? Women, the first thing we do is we're running to the doctor to try to figure out what the heck is going on with me. Are men different?
I think that this is something that there's been a lot of debate whether men and women are inherently different in this regard, and they are. Women are far more proactive in seeking out that initial touch point with a care physician where they're going to say, these are my symptoms, this is what I'm feeling, what is this? What is this indicative of? Whereas men, we're taught to kind of go through the motions. It's okay. Life is going to be full of pain. You deal with that pain. And then we decide on a scale, like how bad that pain is before we really decide to act on it. Mm-hmm. So we look at those stresses and we say, we can push through. And what we're a lot of times doing, we're burying little things that will eventually lead to bigger things. Mm-hmm. And we have no idea because we're just conditioned to tough it out. And, mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily belong to one group, one culture, one ethnicity. It's just a matter of we are taught that we are to be strong and not to complain because we have bigger things in life that we should be doing.
The bigger things like what? Taking care of the family?
Taking care of your family, taking care mm-hmm. of yourself, just projecting an image of overall strength mm-hmm. in yourself. There are unwritten expectations of men, and not to say like woe is men that, mm-hmm. We can't express, but there are just some unwritten rules as to how you process certain things in life.
What about you? How do you, manage that? Are you managing it? Have you had struggles?
Absolutely. I've succumbed to the same, cultural factors and let me say not cultural, societal factors that tell me that, a little bit of pain is okay. Mm-hmm. This is coming from somebody who has a significant cardiac history. My dad died when I was young from mm-hmm. heart issues. We were diagnosed when I was very young that this was a familial issue. And I've been taking medication since I was 6 years old for this. But, I had a heart incident when I was 30. I let that languish in the fact that I had chest pains and I kind of was going through a full 24-hour period with these pains saying that, okay, it'll dissipate. It'll eventually dissipate. This is an incident. This is an isolated incident. And, mm-hmm. You can end up doing serious damage to your heart muscle. So I think that was societal conditioning in spite of what I knew that mm-hmm. this would somehow dissipate. And we don't want to jump the gun on something that could be minor. Mm-hmm. But we as men have to get past the stigma of saying we're not tough enough. And we just have to say that this could be an actual and a real concern and seek help.
What were the mitigating factors to prevent you from seeking help? You knew that there was something going on with you. What prevented you from reaching out? I know that it was the mental, mm-hmm. Like hockeying that was going on in your brain.
I think that it's one of those things that once you self-identify a problem, you don't know the nature mm-hmm. of that problem. And it's kind of like, if you actually go and seek help, you will find out the nature of that issue. And it could mm-hmm. be of grandiose nature. Mm-hmm. And you're in a situation where you have things that are now that have implications outside of
Mhm.
just this one moment. So, it becomes a greater issue and you have more to consider. And I think that a lot of times we as humans, not just men, but, we can take it as, well, if it's not discovered, it's not quite real and it won't affect us in any way. So,
From a scale of 1 to 10, when you had that heart incident, what was the pain? What was the pain measure?
I would say it was probably a 5 or a 6
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day. There were probably periods where it went to a 7 or 8,
Mm-hmm.
but that was when I actually decided to go to sleep that night and see if once again I'd wake up in the morning and those pains would have dissipated. But that was probably the worst time and the worst thing that I could have done as well.
Now was it pain rating? So from what I have understand and know medically is that when you are having a heart episode, you may get pain radiating from one or the other side of your body, or your heart may race at an elevated rate. Were you feeling those issues? Was there pounding of your chest? What was going on?
So I did feel that pain, and it was kind of like the best way I could describe it, it just felt like a breaking apart, kind of like an actual just halving of the heart, if you will. I don't recall that it was a radiating pain. It was definitely centered on and around my heart muscle. When I laid a certain way, once, I was in bed later that evening, like I could feel as if there was like a pressure on there. But, my symptoms didn't necessarily present typically. I kind of had an atypical presentation. It was very much so sudden onset. And the time where I let it languish was because I chose not to get, I chose not to have, some type of intervention. So, but my symptoms were very onset. It wasn't like a buildup of symptoms. And when it came, it was pretty much dead center of chest, kind of like literally trying to be pulled apart. But it was about a 6 or 7 pain.
So we talk about men and men's health and men's awareness of your bodies and going to the doctors, and we've lost so many people from prostate cancer, Chadwick Boseman, D'Angelo, and these things got identified late in life. What are you doing now, current day, to prevent from becoming one of the statistics?
I think that, mine is more so retroactive in what I'm doing, because this is already manifested. We know that this exists. We've already had incidents as a result of this, but now it's more like a proactive monitoring and intervention scenario where you're looking at all the things that you can do on a daily basis, whether that's, going to the gym, making sure that there's physical activity, kind of slowing down on some of the things that you want to eat, but are not the best for you in certain portions. It's really a matter of a very circumspect approach to dealing with it. You can't just take it in one thing, because genetically I'm predisposed to just kind of produce and retain more cholesterol. My body doesn't get rid of it as easily as some others do. So it's an all hands on deck, all ideas, all approaches to kind of trying to some regiment of health and wellness, which ain't easy. It's a commitment. It's a dedication thing. And, a lot of times I falter, but it's trying to be committed and mindful.
Because you are when you talk about the fitness and the diet, in your head, you're a big back.
Oh, absolutely. In my head, I want to eat sausage, egg, and cheese for breakfast, sometimes pancakes, sometimes waffles. And really, I want to eat some syrup, a little bit of waffles with my syrup. So I have all those cravings. I want to have a lunch where I can eat a burger if I so crave it. It's seldom that I crave a salad. I enjoy a good salad, but it's seldom that I'm craving one. So if I could indulge those things and there weren't these, obvious back end effects, sure. But I also realize that that's not the way life is made. And there are those people who can do that, but I'm not one of them. So I got to live the life and play the hand that I was dealt. And, you know, it's not a matter of saying, oh, I'm not going to. It's a matter of saying, in moderation, in what proportion, what am I going to do to offset this? If I'm going to go to Burger King and eat that 2,000 calorie meal, no judgments are required. If I'm going to eat that 2,000 calories, I know what I need to do for the next day or 2 or 3 to make sure that I'm offsetting that.
Going back to exercise, you had an incident.
Yeah. So
walk us through that.
Once again, you know,
what happened?
What happened was societal factors of me, you know, being a stubborn and insolent man, not paying attention to the basics, caught up with me. I was, you know, at the gym. I was on the elliptical machine because the treadmill just kills my knees. I can't do it. So I was on the elliptical machine. You know, I was really high intensity, really good resistance. And, you know, I was doing 30 minutes, but then I was like, okay, I'm going to ramp up and I would want to do 50-minute sessions. So at around like, you know, minute 28, I noticed that, you know, I had some leg cramps and then I stopped. I drank some water. And then about 2.5 minutes later, I apparently passed out. And then a minute after that, or a minute or 2 after that, I woke up and I was on the floor. And I guess I realized, or I deduced what I thought had happened. And it was one of those things where I, number one, didn't pay attention to the symptoms. Number two, didn't do basic things like, if you're going to go into a new workout routine, you don't just go from workout routine level 3 to level 8 in one day. You know, I was really trying to be, you know, Juggernaut Hulk. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to burn it all in one day. And that was a bad idea. And I didn't pay attention. So once again, my man got the best of me. My man had got the best of me. I said, no, I'm going to tough through it. You know, these leg cramps, they're not telling me anything. This dizziness, fuck that. It was like, drink some water. You will get through this. Darn, I wish I had supplemental oxygen. And then I woke up like 2 minutes later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man. Just think of it. I wish that we had the video footage of that.
Striving to be the best me I could be, just passing out on the floor. That nothing says like going for results.
Right. So you after that incident, you met with your doctor, and so what's the next steps for you?
Well, you know, as I said, this has been a lifelong battle since I was a child. You know, there have been cardiac issues along the way. There are now blockages and things like that.
What's the percentage of the blockage?
Some of them from 80% upward, and some of them is just significant stenosis or narrowing of arteries and vessels. So, you know, there are going to, while I'm still young and there's a good prognosis for healing, healthy healing, we are going to, you know, I'm going to undergo an open heart procedure where we're going to be doing some bypasses. So
what kind of bypass? Is it going to be a triple bypass or?
Oh, well, they're looking at multiple. So I think the doctor, once they get in there, they'll be able to see what they think is best. But I think, you know, they said something around the lines of 4 to 6.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I always say it's kind of like, and, you know, when I found out this information earlier this year, I got a little despondent because, you know, I told them, I was like, I got a fitness regimen where, you know, I've told people that you all have found this and they just can't understand it because they see what I do. But, you know, and the doctors just put it from another perspective. Well, think about if you weren't doing these things, that you may not have had that bounce back where you would have gotten back up, where your body could have sustained that. So, you know, that was daunting, but all in all, kind of like circumspect to, okay, you still have to do what's within your power to not let the worst case scenario happen.
What did the doctors say that the recovery period for that, something like that, is like?
So funny. You know, they're going to, they said that, you know, you can't lift more than 5 pounds, I think, for the first 3 weeks, then up to 20 pounds for weeks 4 through 6. And then after that, provided you feel ready, that's when you can kind of increase weights and get back to a more normal regimen, hopefully. And then there's also a period of cardiac rehab, which, contingent upon, you know, one's recovery and how they, you know, convalesce, is going to determine that. But they're looking at perhaps a 12-week stint for that as well.
What's the cardiac rehab? consist of?
That is really where you're working in, I guess, in a physical therapy environment,
Okay.
so that you can increase the tolerance of your
I get
cardiac muscle
Okay.
through just like regular activity, walking, running. And, I want to get back to being as active. And they tell me, you're going to go to the gym and you'll feel even better to do your things.
Right.
So, wanting to get back to that, that's also going to be a incremental process of working with physical therapists to make sure that my heart can take that.
And you've done a lot of preparation pre-surgery, because I've asked you about your pre-op appointments and had conversations with you about next steps, making sure that you have a will in place. We talked about DNR, things like that, living trust, things like that. So we had conversations like that. Have you moved forward with that? Your mom is taking care of all of that?
No. I'm a grown man.
Okay.
Mommy's not taking care of any of that.
But
those are things that
you've delegated.
Oh,
right?
Well, yeah, she'll be the main person, but a DNR is actually something I had not recalled and I had not thought about, but there won't be one in place. I want to be resuscitated. God forbid, I should become incapacitated, like to that level, as many times as necessary. Shock me until I'm fried. Absolutely. If I start to spring a little oil, that just means you're working hard. Keep going. So, but
right.
No, those are definitely real considerations in a situation like this.
Yeah. Okay. And what's next? I mean, we're in November. The surgery is when?
Beginning of December.
Okay. Surgery is beginning of December. So you're going to be going into Christmas.
Absolutely.
Convalescing.
Absolutely. Laid up, relaxing, and enjoying it.
Yeah. So you're going to be watching what you eat. Your mom's going to be here.
I'll be watching it as I put it on my fork. Absolutely. I'll just be watching the portions with which I eat it, but I will be watching what I eat and enjoying every minute.
Right. What have you found? I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about asking this. What have you found that has been most enlightening for you as you come out on the other side and you realize how precious life is for you, right? What have you decided for yourself once you come out on the other end? What have you decided? What's next?
I wouldn't, to be totally transparent, I wouldn't say that there's necessarily a what's next. It's a continuation of what I've been doing because, this situation put me to, and even before this happened, me trying to become more physically fit and just, create a lifestyle that will give me the best chance possible to have a full life. I think it will be continuing that with the same excitement, with the same perseverance, but also with a newfound respect for what is truly at risk. Understand that I've had this great intervention, this medical intervention, and that it's giving me a second lease. So I'm going to be just that much more cognizant and tuned in to doing those things that will help me to maximize this second chance.
Nice. Well, that was great. Thank you, Warren, for sharing.
Absolutely.
I think some takeaways is that we want to make sure that in this month of November that men are prioritizing their health and wellness and encouraging them to go to see their doctors, go to see their dentist. Oh, speaking of dentist, this dude had a dentist issue too. He had a dental issue too.
Found that out in the pre-surgery.
Yes, he found that out in his pre-op appointment. So it was an abscess.
Yes.
Yeah. So go to your dentist because if you have underlining, this is from what I understand from the medical journals that I've read and from talking to doctors. If you have underlining issues, the teeth, the dental, if there's an infection in your mouth, it can exacerbate your already fragile condition. So let's keep talking. This is another episode of the Daily Constitution. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.
See you next time.
Bye.